All right. Hello, everybody. My name's Christopher Baunach. I'm a engineer at Apex Systems, and this is my talk on software engineering and Pomodoro. So what is Pomodoro? Some of you may already be familiar with it. It's kind of a time management technique. You break up your work into 25 minutes of kind of work, and then 5 minutes of break time, and then you just repeat. So in my case, at my current job, that looks a little bit like this. I actually use a Mac, but it's a similar setup, just kind of using the existing clock program to build up a series of alarms that just remind me to take a break or get back to work, and I do that throughout the whole day. So what are some of the pros of this kind of method? The day is less of a slog, so I work for a West Coast company, and what's it called? I've kind of moved my lunch hour forward a bit to align with theirs, and so I have like a 6-hour block of work that I have to deal with every day, and this really helps make that less of a slog, less of just being bored. Fits the modern attention span. So if you've been reading the news and stuff lately, there's all this talk of kind of how social media and stuff has just fried our attention spans. And there's a lot of things we can do to remedy that problem. Though while we're working on remedying that problem, this is a pretty good kind of Band-Aid in a sense, in that if you're like me and your attention span is just not great, then this helps. You get through work pretty quickly. You don't run into that kind of burnout phase of just struggling to pay attention to what you're working on. Maintain work performance. So I've actually been doing this since August of last year. I asked my boss if I could start doing it. And throughout that time, my work performance has not decreased. Like my contract's been renewed twice, so I'm assuming that I'm doing fine. And last but not least, there's health benefits. So going back to the last slide, you might have seen kind of the switch from sitting to standing and stuff like that. And so this kind of allows you to bake that into your day, bake reminders to do that into your day. And in addition to that, like there's a variety of things you could do during these 5-minute breaks. So you could get up and get a glass of water. You could do some stretching exercises for posture and stuff like that. So a lot of benefits. But what about the cons? So the cons is it can interrupt your work. Now this is like halfway between a pro and a con, because if you've been in the industry for a while, like you're probably so used to what you're doing that you're like, do I even want to do this job anymore? And when that alarm goes off telling you to stop working and you don't want to stop working, you realize like, okay, I actually do enjoy my job. So nonetheless, like if you're working on something and you're just about to like run the test or something like that and that alarm goes off, it can be a bit irritating. And then there's just miscellaneous minor irritations. So the one that I'm trying to figure out right now, and it's a pretty simple fix, is just these alarms will go off during meetings, because whereas I can schedule like the weekly meetings, I can schedule it around the weekly meetings, I cannot schedule it around the sporadic meetings. So I'm thinking of just maybe, maybe just having one of the alarms tell me like, figure out your alarms for the day. Hopefully that works. That's actually all the cons, and that's also the conclusion. Thank you. And talking a bit about the next step. So even though I just really promoted this thing, I'm planning on switching soon to testing out the whole concept of flow state. So migrating from Pomodoro to flow state and seeing how that works and how its benefits kind of compare to Pomodoro and stuff. I found a few videos about that, and so like to explore it a bit more. And that's that. Anybody have any questions?
Can you tell us what you've heard so far about flow state? Kind of elaborate on that just a little bit.
Yeah, so I've heard that it's really like, it's a great way to break what I'm running into with Pomodoro, where you have kind of just a slog, like your attention span is just not working. Like there's a variety of techniques and stuff that you can employ to bypass that whole distraction problem and stuff like that. I actually found a pretty good video. I could share it in the SGF Devs Discord after this. So.
You had mentioned there were several different things you can do with your 5-minute runs. What do you find that you typically do in those 5-minute sprints?
Man, it has changed so much. So starting out, I didn't even have the alarm system. I would just like listen to a song during that time because they're usually 5 minutes, and that would be the break. Getting a drink of water, just standing up, walking around, that kind of thing. I picked up drawing for a while. I want to get back into that. Writing, just thinking, checking messages. Like if you have a bunch of emails and stuff that you're trying to get done for the day, like it's surprising how many of those you could get done during 5-minute breaks and stuff. And so it kind of, you could really use it for anything. I'm assuming that it's best to have like a stable plan, like either drink water or just think or get up and walk around instead of just every 5-minute break is a different thing, because then you're potentially getting distracted. The alarms will bring you back, but your mind's just going back and forth.
So I am just curious, how did the conversation go with your boss when you said you wanted 18% of your day to be breaks?
I didn't put it that way to start. But he was fine with it. It's a really chill work environment, and like I said, my work performance didn't suffer at all, and yeah. I would say the work performance actually improved because it's almost in a sense that sprint system being applied to your time. Like every 25 minutes you're taking a break, and then you're going right back in it with kind of rejuvenated. If you ever heard of I never read this book, but the Thinking Fast and Slow. So it seems to incorporate that concept in that you're taking a break and kind of letting your brain deal with whatever the problem is that you're working
on. Less of a question, just second anecdotal evidence. We did a modified Pomodoro, so 55 minutes on, 5 minutes off as a team. And we actually had data that said we were more productive over an 8-week period because we were taking the breaks. So if you are trying to justify it, you can actually, if you can collect metrics before to have a baseline, in general, you will actually be more productive by doing it. So also, if you have if you want to get more than 25 minutes worth of stuff done in one session, you can modify it to be 40 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off, kind of whatever works for you. You can play around with different cadences. We did it by complete and accurate. So stories complete and accurate. So how many bugs got created, and throughput metrics. So we got more done.
Thank you for sharing that.
So when I use the Pomodoro method, my breaks start to feel more like interruptions sometimes. Do you ever experience that?
Yeah, like going back to the can interrupt your work and stuff, like especially when you're working on an extended task that requires more than 25 minutes, it's taking you out of the flow that you're in. And that's kind of when I want to research flow state and stuff, is see with the absence of that, like what are the benefits and what are the drawbacks.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay, give it up for Chris.
Thank you.